Welcome to the 2025 Conservation Circle. I'm Janean Van Beckum. I'm the curator here at the Milwaukee County Historical Society, and we're just going to share with you the items that are up for fundraising this year for the Conservation Circle. First up, we have our costume and textile collection. We have a huge collection of textiles. It ranges from beautiful dresses like the ones we have on display over here to handcrafted quilts, dolls, flags, even book covers. These artifacts are particularly in danger of degrading because they are organic. They're meant to degrade. They also come to us in rough shape a lot of times. They've been worn, they've been used, they've been washed, and they've been properly stored before they get here. One of the other things we have a challenge with a lot of textiles is the idea of inherent vice. So inherent vice is something that is baked into the fabric, in this case, literally, of the object. For example, silk was often manufactured with chemicals and something called metallic salts up until even the 1930s and 40s. These salts have a chemical reaction with the silk fibers themselves. This chemical reaction actually breaks down the fiber at a molecular level, and it causes the silk to shred. There is nothing you can do to stop it, but you can prevent it with proper storage techniques. So what we're fundraising for is $500 to go toward materials for proper housing. Some examples of what would be done is this horsehair bonnet from the early 1800s. Not everything gets this much care because it's not quite as delicate as this, but this is a custom mount to support it, to support the bonnet. All archival materials to keep it from being worse and degrading more. So we would be looking for $500 for funds to go toward storage materials, which include things to create padded hangers, boxes, tissue paper for padding and wrapping, and archival tubes so we can roll and properly store our bigger materials like our flags. Next up, we have our daguerreotypes. This is Henrietta and Byron Kilbourne. So most of you probably know who Byron Kilbourne was. He was a land speculator and one of the founders of modern Milwaukee. These daguerreotypes are pretty typical daguerreotypes. They're a lot bigger than a lot of them. Daguerreotypes are an early photographic process that uses a mercury emulsion on top of either a copper or silver plate that is highly polished. That high polish is what gives it its near appearance. These are silver, and as you know, silver tarnishes. The easiest way, or the best way, I should say, to keep things from getting tarnished within the daguerreotypes is to make sure you keep air and moisture away from them. So our frames are in kind of rough shape. They need some help, but really what we need to do is repackage the inside. These were both donated to us by the Colonial Danes of America. They were on exhibit at our Pilgrim Townhouse in Sherwood and Estabrook Park for many years. At some point, the Danes had restoration work done on them, and they took them apart to restore the frames, and they didn't reseal them very well. So you can see some tarnishing on Byron here and a little bit on Henrietta, but mostly on Byron. We want to prevent that from getting worse. It is really hard to clean daguerreotypes, almost impossible to clean them, and very expensive if you can't clean them. Because that layer of tarnish, if you try and wipe it off, you're going to wipe away the picture. We want to keep these from getting worse. To do that, we would have a conservator would take them out, restore the frames, regilt the frames, and then repackage them. Basically seal them back up and seal them back into the frames. It is not cheap. It is $10,000 to do both of them, $5,000 a piece. So we keep $10,000 total for these objects for the 2025. Next up, we have our Beyondin painting. Henry Beyondin was an early painter in Wisconsin. He's considered the father of Wisconsin art. He was based in Milwaukee. He was also Wisconsin's first commercial painter, and he trained a lot of the people you would have heard of, like Susan Freckleton, Carl von Lahr, Frank Enders. A lot of early Wisconsin artists were trained. This particular painting was of Wisconsin Dells. He was known for his landscapes, in particular trees, and he often took his students to the Dells on painting trips. So in this case, the painting itself is in really good condition, but our frame is pretty rough. So we would send this to a conservator. They would clean the painting, but really focus on the frame. Give it a quick clean. They would then do testing on it to see what materials it's made out of. They would then fix all of the embellishments by molding and then reattaching, and then regild it or varnish it, whatever materials they found out in this testing was appropriate for it. So for this, we are looking for $3,000 to restore Henry's frame back to its former glory. Next, we have our Miller architecture miniature. So this is a small set selection of 44 miniature buildings we have in our collection. All were made by Janean Van Beckum between 1967 and 1960. It covers about 4 or 6 square blocks of downtown Milwaukee from around early 1900s. They're made from cardboard, paper, a little bit of metal here and there, and then plastic acetate. Our biggest problem with these is that 50-year-old glue is starting to fail. So you'll find little pieces, especially the little figures, will have fallen. We also have them stored right now on open shelving downstairs. So if you can see, there's a lot of dust on them. Dust is hygroscopic, which means it attracts and holds water. As you can imagine, that's not great for paper or the glue. So we want to rehouse them. We want to get them all put into individualized custom boxes. The boxes for these items are not something you can just buy off the shelf because they're such odd sizes. So we're looking for $900 to buy our archival board so we can custom make boxes in-house and get all of these stored properly. Not only would it keep the dust off, but then if the glue was to fail, those little pieces would be falling off in the box, not onto the floor where we keep them. When they fall off onto the floor, we can't figure out where they go. If they're in the box, we know which miniature they go to, and then at a future date, when we go to repair them, we can put them back where they belong. Next up, we have Poor Dad Billy. So most of you probably know Billy the Brownie, but I'll do a real brief history. Billy was a marketing tool created by Schuster's department store in the early 1920s originally. He went through a lot of iterations, a lot of different styles early on. He lasted through 1955, and then he was revived again by Gimbels in the 1970s. Gimbels purchased Schuster's in 62 and then revived Billy after that. This is a really early Billy from Schuster's. He's seen better days. He is 100 years old. So our biggest problem is he's disarticulated. So he was articulated with these big rubber bands. And at some point, the rubber just failed. He did not come to us with a broken ankle. I have a feeling that was sustained when his rubber bands broke. Someone probably picked him up, did not know the rubber bands had disintegrated, and his leg fell off. He does have a broken pinky finger. That was there when we got him. So we want to send him to a conservator to get some help. The conservator would give him a really good clean. He's very faded, but that's because he was in the Schuster's window. We want to leave that because that's part of his history. So they would just clean him. They would fix his leg. They would re-mold his pinky, put it back on, and paint it, and then re-articulate it. So hopefully he'd be back together for another 100 years. So we're looking for $5,000 to fix Billy. Lastly, we have the Station of the Cross from the Blessed Virgin of Pompeii Church, which was in the 3rd ward. It's also known as the Little Pink Church. It was the center of the Italian community in Milwaukee from the 1890s when it was built until 1967 when it was torn down. We have a lot of the collection, a lot of decorative elements from the church, thanks to Mario Caridi, who donated them all to us. But this one came to us in really poor condition. Not sure why it's in such poor condition compared to the others. The other stations might have a little nick here and there and a little piece of paint here and there, but this one is actively flaking and in really bad shape. I'm gonna guess it was probably in the church, either above a window, near a door, near a heat source where the environment fluctuated a lot, causing the plaster behind it to contract and expand and pop the paint off. So we are looking for $8,000 to send this to a conservator. The conservator would go in, clean it all first, re-adhere the paint flakes. We've been collecting them as they fall off. Would stabilize the backing. The plaster behind her is kind of mushy. I've never seen plaster like that before. So I have a feeling there's some weird chemical reaction going on, just from the environmental changes over the years. They would take out some old repairs. The other reason we think this was happening for quite some time is because the repairs on here are pretty crude and they're old. So they would take out those old repairs, fix them, fill them in with modern conservation grade materials. And then they would readhere the paint flakes, paint in any bits that are missing. So it would look not brand new, but it would look almost new. And then they would seal it all to make sure everything's stable. So that is it. We appreciate anything you can do to help us get to our fundraising goals on all these pieces. And thank you.